Most of my videos are about sharing tips, showing you guys how to take better photos with your cameras. As yet, I haven't shared any tips about reviewing your images until now. Hi, Paul here from Photogenius. Now, this channel, if you are new to it, is all about photography. I share tips, tricks, and show you how to take better photos with your cameras, and I do occasional gear reviews as well. So if you are new, please consider subscribing. This video is all about reviewing your images, and I'm going to be featuring Canon and Nikon cameras for this video, but of course, as usual, the tips I'm going to share can be applied to pretty much any type of camera, so it doesn't matter whether you've got a Sony, Fuji, Olympus, Pentax or whatever. Let's get into it. So let's begin by taking a look at a Canon camera. Now, my first tip is to look at the buttons on the rear of the camera. You will see that some of the icons and the labels are in white and some of them are in blue. White icons are relevant when you are taking a photo. The blue icons relate to playback and viewing your images. So here we have the playback button, there's the delete button, and these two buttons over here on the right allow us to zoom in and zoom out of our images. So if we press the playback button, we will see an image, and if we go over to the zoom keys, plus or minus, the plus will zoom in or enlarge the image, and we can then use the up, down, left and right buttons to move around the image as we wish. Of course, minus button will reduce the size, but here's a good tip for time saving. If you zoomed in on an image, pressing the playback button again takes you back to the original image size. On the Nikon camera, it's much the same. Start by pressing your playback button, which of course may be in a different position depending on which camera you are using. Here is our image. To zoom in, all we've got to do is press the plus key here, and this zooms us in. And if we want to move around the image, we can use the little dial here, just like a little joystick, pushing over to the left, pushing down, over to the right. There you go. That's the zoom feature on the Nikon camera. To reduce the size, we can press the minus button if we wish, but just like the Canon camera, there is a shortcut. Pressing OK takes you back to your normal resolution. Done. So why is the zoom feature so important? Well, let's not forget that when we're looking back at our images, we are viewing them on an LCD screen that is about 3 inches wide. And generally, most images look pretty good on these tiny screens because they can be quite misleading. Let me show you what I mean. Here we see an image that is clearly not in focus. It looks blurry. Now this is clear to see because we are viewing it on a large scale. But as we reduce the size of the image, you will see that it appears to get sharper, which is of course not the case. So when I'm taking photos, I'm checking them on the go. I don't wait until later when I've got them on the computer to find out if they're sharp. I'm using the zoom function to check the photos on the go. If I've got a blurry photo, I reshoot it. Easy. Now my next tip will help you locate specific images in camera. As you probably know, on a Canon camera, to view your images, you press the playback button. Pressing the right button here will allow you to see your latest images. Pressing the left button will allow you to go back and view previous or older images. Now, what if you want to locate a specific image that maybe you shot a week ago? Since then, you've shot loads more images. Well, scrolling through the images one at a time can, to be fair, be a bit boring and time consuming. So here's a great tip. Press the minus button and you will get thumbnails. You can then use the up and down keys to advance through the images much quicker. When you've found the image that you want, all you need to do is press the set button. To skip through your images on a Nikon, you use the multi-selector here, again just like a little joystick, pushing over to the left takes you back, and pressing to the right advances you forwards. So very easy to skip through the images. And of course the Nikon also allows you to quickly locate an image. Pressing the minus button here reduces the size of the image, so you get your thumbnails. You can then use the multi-selector tool to skip up and down through your photos very quickly. But a nice feature of this Nikon in particular, this is the D3500, is you can also bring up these very tiny thumbnails, and this means you can skip through your images really fast. Now, a nice feature on the Canons, but sadly not the Nikons, is that you can scroll through the images really quickly by pressing playback and then turning the camera's control dial on the top of the camera. This will advance you backwards or forwards 10 images, depending on which direction you turn the dial. Now with the Canon camera, when you're reviewing your photos, your camera will display some basic information relating to the camera settings that you used when you took a picture. We can see that I took this picture at a shutter speed of 1/1000th of a second with an aperture of f4.5. But if you wish to know more, just press the display button. Pressing the display button changes the screen, and now we can see not just the shutter and the aperture, but also the ISO and a whole bunch of other information, including the date and time the image was taken. This is your histogram. We'll save that for a future video. And you may notice over here some parts of your image flashing. This is called highlight alert and shows you where your image is overexposed. Pressing the display button again takes you back to your normal view. Now with the Nikon cameras, of course you can do the same, but you may need to turn this function on first, as generally it's not a factory setting. Now with the Nikon camera, when you're viewing your image, you don't normally get to see the camera data, so we don't know what the settings were that I used when I took this photo, but we can change this quite easily. Let's start by going to the menu. We want to go to the menu tabs over to the left and up to the top option, which is playback menu. We then go over to the right and to playback display options. Press the OK button, and these are the options we have. Now we're not going to select all these. My recommendations are to select highlights. By pressing to the right, you'll notice a little tick appears. Then go down to overview. Once again, press to the right, look for the little tick, and press OK to register the changes. Now when you press your playback button and view your image, you can now press up to give you your overview and press up again to give you your highlights page. Let's go back to the overview first. This gives you your histogram, image, shutter, aperture and ISO. Lots of information here. Press up again. This is your highlights page. Just like the Canon camera, you may notice some of the image flashing. This is just confirming that there are some areas of this image which are overexposed. Now what about if you want to delete an image? If there's an image you don't want, all you've got to do is select it, press delete, and you will get an option, cancel or erase. Select erase, press set, the image is deleted. And again, just like the Canon camera, deleting an image on a Nikon is very simple. Select an image, look for an icon that looks like a bin. This is the delete button. Pressing this, your camera will ask you here if you want to confirm. So you just press the button again and the image is deleted. Easy. Knowing how to review your images, I think, is incredibly important. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and picked up some great tips. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. New videos every single week. You can leave your questions, comments and suggestions down below, and I hope to see you again soon. See ya!